So now that we have our Oracle VirtualBox installed, we've got Vagrant installed, we've got Git installed, we're ready to go to check out and try out for ourselves how to set up the VirtualBox.
This video is brought to you by EpiPies Academy.
So but before we do that, I'm just going to do a quick overview on the different applications. So with VirtualBox, so you should have a VirtualBox that you can open up, and essentially you're not going to see any VirtualBoxes in there yet because of course we haven't set that up using Vagrant. And with VirtualBox it can work without Vagrant as well, where you could simply select new, you could create a brand new operating system and create and update this. You could also, if you have a CD or an install of another OS or any other operating system, you could do the install of it within the VirtualBox and set those up so you can have numerous VirtualBoxes here, and you can select, you could run them, and you can see the little pop-up window where they run into and everything. And once we do set up this VirtualBox in we're going to actually be able to see that here as one of the available VirtualBoxes, but we won't actually be able to run it. We're going to need to run it via Vagrant. And with the Vagrant install, you don't really actually see a whole lot on your system, but what you will see is it running in the background, and it does give you the ability to get a box up and running. So again, going into your terminal, you can go and you can navigate to where your files are located. So the files that I wanted to access, they're at websites and box. And we can actually initiate a Vagrant file, so set up the Vagrant INI, and then this what this does is this actually specifies the VirtualBox that we want to set up. So now that we're in the box folder within our site, so if we open that up, we see that there's nothing there. But once I type Vagrant, so the Vagrant commands start out with Vagrant, and we've got Vagrant INI, and we can see if we can install this box here. So it's #ecorp, and this is one of the default boxes that should be available within the Vagrant file system. So we actually so now we see that we've got this Vagrant file. It's set up in here. We can open this up and we can see what's contained within here. So we've got basically most of it is hashed out, but two of the most important parts here are the config, so the do config, and then this one over here specifies which box we're planning on using. And again, this Precision 64, so this is one of the default boxes that I believe comes with your Vagrant download, and of course there's a whole lot of different boxes that are available, and they've got a link here so if you wanted to actually see some of the other boxes that are available, you can just quickly pop over to there, and I can show you that there are quite a lot of different boxes that are up and available. So you could just simply download these and do an install. And there's a Scotch box, so this is the one that we're actually going to be installing as well. And this is the lamp stack that we're going to be installing, so that's available from the Scotchbox website as well. So now that we've got that file there, so all we need is that Vagrant initialization file, which we have in the default directory there, and when we run that, that's going to initiate creating the Vagrant box. It's going to download and provision the box. So Precise 64 is the box that it's going to be installing and provisioning and setting up. And essentially what this will do is this will give us a VirtualBox that's going to be up and running, and we're going to be able to access it. So this is a default box, and it's not going to be a pre-configured box much as the Scotch box is, and that's why sometimes it is better to take some of these pre-configured boxes and use those if you want to get up and running quickly. But if you do have the time and if you want to configure your own box, you can do this as well. And as you can see, it does take some time to do this download and install. So making sure that you do have Vagrant set up, and if you can run the Vagrant commands, you're all ready to set up. And there's a quick getting started as well on the Vagrant website where you can set up the different boxes, So these are the boxes that are available and how you can log into. So once you do the Vagrant up, you can do Vagrant SSH, and that will get you into the virtual machine SSH session. And then from there you can access the box as you would normally any other server box, and you can navigate and explore the different folders that are available there. So these are the synced folders. This tells you how you can sync the Vagrant folders to your folders on your machine, because by default it's not going to be synced, so you have to go into Vagrant SSH and sync the folders within the box to your local folders in order to get your local machine running properly, that you can access your local folders within your Virtualbox. So there's some provisioning that you can do as well. So basically this will help install the Apache system and set that up within your box. And if you've got provisioning that you need to do, that you can set that up there as well. So networking, again, this is port forwarding, so it makes sure that it uses that port 80 that we see commonly used on the virtual boxes, and that we've got that here. It's got the provision shell, so it's going to run this bootstrap.sh file for provisioning of it. You can share it, so you can share it over into HashiCorp's Atlas. You can tear down the box once you're finished with it, and then you can rebuild it as well when you just hit Vagrant up. So once your box, once your Vagrant up completes the install and forwards all of the ports, that box is up and ready to go, and then you just need to log into it with your SSH. So in the next lesson, we're going to look at bringing in that Scotch box. I'm going to show you how easy it is to bring that into your system. And we're going to follow essentially the instructions that are available on the site. We're going to clone it from GitHub. So we're going to clone the repository from GitHub, download that repository and all of the source files, and then all we have to do is simply run Vagrant up. So we don't have to do any of the Vagrant INI, because that's already going to be included within the Git repository. So we're not going to have to worry about that, selecting the box, opening up the Vagrant file and configuring it. This is all pre-configured, and this is what the beauty of Scotchbox is. And this is actually why we've spent the last lesson walking through Vagrant, so that you can get a better idea of how easy it is when you use a pre-configured GitHub repo that has a Vagrant install on it, and how you can get up and running with that really easily. So that's coming up in the next lesson.